So, this is going to be a long video, so please bear with me. I wanted to say a few things in regard to my relationship with absinthe. I wanted to talk things out and give you my perspective on it, because I feel like people really misunderstand my purpose when it comes to debunking myths and nonsense about absinthe online. So, how is absinthe more than just alcohol to me? I'll tell you. It's more than just
LMG, I love this alcohol and I can't stand it if other people don't like it and they're stupid.
That's just super petty. It's so much more than that. It really means a lot to me. So those of you who have been with me for a while know that I love the 19th century. I love the Victorian era. I love the culture. I love opera. I love the bel canto and romantique music movements of that era. I love the literature of that time period. I love the Belle Époque movement. I love the bohemian culture of France during that time. Absinthe is something that represents an era that I truly adore. I really want to get across to you guys in my videos that absinthe wasn't always a novelty as it's seen today. It was part of day-to-day life. You've seen the absinthe spoons that I have that commemorate the completion of the Eiffel Tower in 1889 for the World Fair. That kind of goes to show you that it was a huge part of people's lives back in that time. So one of the ways that I can connect to that era and its culture is absinthe. All of the greatest artists, writers, and musicians of that era drank absinthe. To me, it's a connection to that era of time and a continuation of the legacy of those artists, writers, and musicians. It's really incredible. You know, you have writers such as Charles Baudelaire, Guy de Maupassant, you have Eric Satie, you have Claude Debussy, Henri Toulouse-Lautrec, Vincent van Gogh, Edouard Manet, Claude Monet as well. Lots of people. Absinthe is a symbol of rebellion and artistic inspiration to me. And having had the real thing that was made in the year 1900 was an incredibly emotional and surreal experience. And because of its connection with artistic inspiration, decadence, and rebellion, it also became associated with the goth subculture. And that's one of the reasons why I believe that the goth subculture is the descendant of the Belle Époque of the 19th century, and the goth subculture is also a huge part of who I am. Another thing too is that it connects me with my ancestry. So as you guys know, I am of French and Latina heritage. So not only have my French ancestors been drinking absinthe for many, many years, because it's ingrained in French culture, but my great-grandfather on my mom's side of the family was also an absinthe drinker, and he came from Mexico. And so whenever he would visit my grandma and her friend Carmen, he would bring absinthe with him and he would demonstrate the preparation ritual. And of course, Carmen loved it because she really loves anything that is anise flavored. So it's part of my family history as well. Yeah. So it's safe to say it's pretty important to me. So if something that I love so dearly is being misrepresented, I'm going to get upset about it, and I'm going to do something to counteract that misrepresentation and bust the misconceptions. Every now and then, I'll get a few annoying comments on my videos in my series Absinthe-Minded Nonsense, which is meant to debunk the nonsense being spread about absinthe online. Yeah, those comments get interesting. You know, people say stuff to me along the lines of,
I don't get it. What's the big deal? You're literally getting upset about the way they're drinking it. We get that you like it, but it's just alcohol. Get over it.
well, it's not just alcohol to me. It really isn't. Sometimes with those kinds of comments, I really like to reply with, would you respond this way if it was marijuana being misrepresented and those misconceptions being pushed? Suddenly, these people get so butthurt and defensive and turn into chemists, talk about how it's impossible to have a bad reaction from pot, and carry on about all of the myths about marijuana having been disproven for decades. Thanks for proving my point. So, I'm a stuck-up bitch, and I'm making a big deal over nothing when it comes to absinthe being misrepresented, which is the reason why it got banned for almost 100 years in the first place. But God forbid people spread misinformation about marijuana. I see a double standard. For example, Matthew Santoro took 45 seconds to spread all of the misconceptions about absinthe that would have taken 5 minutes of Google to debunk, yet spent at least 10 minutes on debunking 10 myths you still believe about marijuana. Do you see what I'm getting at here? I'm really curious to know where he got his research on absinthe. Did he watch Eurotrip? Basically, he quoted that entire line referencing absinthe in that part of the movie, plus a few other things. So, come on. Really? Really? So, let's address these videos that I react to. Am I upset about them entirely? No, not entirely. I'm glad that they are showcasing absinthe and bringing it to the awareness of the general public that may not have heard of it. However, the problem is when they either provide intentionally incomplete information to perpetuate the misconceptions, or if they show the incorrect way of consuming it, like in shots. In the former of the two situations, let me give you an example. BuzzFeed's opening line to their video said, after a long ban, absinthe was re-legalized in the United States in 2007. Many in the past claimed absinthe was hallucinogenic, but modern absinthe has not proven to be so. If they would have just rephrased it just a little, I wouldn't have as much of a problem with it. They could have said something along the lines of, many in the past claimed absinthe was hallucinogenic, but due to forensic scientists disproving these claims, the absinthe ban was lifted in 2007. There you go. That is complete information. And that doesn't leave room to imply that pre-ban absinthe had a magical ingredient that caused hallucinations that modern absinthe does not, as the original phrasing does. They took the time to research the traditional preparation, they got the equipment, they gave their participants instructions on preparation, but that incomplete information they provided was completely intentional to further perpetuate the myth. As for the latter, in the latest Irish People Try Absinthe video that I reacted to, I really didn't like when one of the participants said something along the lines of, whoever it was that made absinthe must have wanted to create the most vile, disgusting drink ever. It couldn't be further from the truth. Why would people create something with the intent on making it that disgusting? Come on. Absinthe has to blossom with the cold water, and all of the subtleties and nuanced flavors come out. Plus, the traditional method of preparation is just gorgeous. It's not just knocking back shots to get hammered. Ugh. And it breaks my heart to see people do that, because they don't really get any enjoyment out of it. Come on. If you're going to be drinking something, don't you kind of want to enjoy it a little bit? Come on. There is an entire beautiful ritual that comes with absinthe, and that's another reason why I love it so much, other than the flavor. So, what happens with these videos of people drinking absinthe in straight shots and feeling like they're going to barf? People are going to see absinthe as especially dangerous, people naturally consuming it incorrectly instead of drinking it responsibly and the correct way. Ugh. And people will be more reluctant to want to import it, stock it, sell it, distribute it. And availability becomes limited. And what happens when people act like idiots and lie about having absinthe one time and carrying on about how they trip balls so hard? Same thing. Reluctance to make it more readily available due to the misconceptions being perpetuated, especially here in the States. Neither of those things really help. One such example of people spreading misconceptions in order to seem cool is, of all people, Johnny Depp. When he was talking about the making of the film From Hell, he referred to the part in the film where his character drank absinthe in a way that is inaccurate to how it was consumed in the Victorian era, mind you. He said, dear God, I can't believe I'm actually repeating these words. He said, after drinking it, I can see why Van Gogh cut off his ear. I wanted to as well after I had it. Really?
Blow it out your ass! 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 Blow it out your ass!
Okay, we all know perfectly well that Van Gogh suffered from depression and had suicidal tendencies. He was known to have ingested many different chemicals, as well as paints to make himself ill or to kill himself. Absinthe alone would not have caused a delirium that would have made him cut off his ear. Come on. So what videos would I recommend for people wanting to know the real history of absinthe without all of the nonsense? I'd like you to check out the video from Tasted on YouTube called Absinthe, Why Would You Eat That? They do a pretty fun, engaging, silly, humorous, and educational presentation on the history of absinthe. I just don't like the ending where they drink absinthe and don't dilute it quite enough for the proper preparation and they suck it down like a beer. No. Another one I recommend is a video from the channel How to Drink, and obviously it's about absinthe. It's fun, engaging, educational, and it's a calm presentation from an absinthe drinker, and there's even a demonstration and tasting at the end of it. Getting back to my video reacting to Matthew Santoro, I got a comment on it. It wasn't annoying or, mean. And it was pretty great, and it was really, really encouraging. It went something along the lines of, Absinthe Activism, this is what I'm here to see. So I realized that part of my role as an absinthe drinker with a small platform, it's important to debunk the nonsense that is being spread about absinthe, despite the ban being lifted for almost 13 years. And this is partly for selfish reasons. I want absinthe to be more readily available, not just for myself, but for the poor souls who comment on my videos about how sad they are that they can't even get their hands on it, even to try it. That breaks my heart. I want absinthe to be seen as less of a novelty. The less of a novelty it is, the more readily available it'll be. And that will lead to better brands being available to everyone. I know it's unrealistic to hope it returned to its original popularity from the 19th century, but at the very least, we can debunk the nonsense and remove the stigma that is still attached to absinthe to this day. So let's think a little bit about the smear campaign that led to it being banned. Let's say there's a wine shortage in the 19th century, and as a result, tequila becomes a suitable substitute and people really take to it and it becomes super popular. Tequila comes into very high demand because everyone loves it. The wine shortage is resolved and the wine industry is ready to get their business back up and running, but there's a problem. They're in competition with tequila. So what do? You start a smear campaign against tequila. Then the wine industry finds out that due to the high demand, people have started making cheap, toxic, homemade knockoffs of tequila that people are starting to get ill from. And there it is. They have something to make an example of to paint tequila as harmful, even taking it a step further to claim that agave is what is making people sick from tequila. Even taking it a step further, as if that weren't enough, to pay a quack doctor to release a study about the harmful effects of agave and pushing wine as healthier for you because it's more natural. There is enough of an outcry building up over several years that tequila gets banned. That is exactly what happened to absinthe. I wanted to put tequila in place of absinthe in this scenario to demonstrate exactly how baseless yet effective the absinthism scare of the late 19th century was. It was indeed the reefer madness of the 19th century, and it worked for almost 100 years. Another example of how stupid the absinthe ban was that lasted almost 100 years. People claimed that wormwood in absinthe was the harmful ingredient, which is why it was banned. You know what other alcohol is made from wormwood? Vermouth. So, riddle me this. If wormwood was the problem, why was vermouth not banned for 100 years? That just goes to show you that there was a specific intent to ban absinthe, not just wormwood. But that's all over and we don't need to worry about all that since the ban has been lifted, right? Wrong. There is still a stigma out there about absinthe to the point where a website focused on substance addiction has a page specifically devoted to absinthe instead of grouping it together with all of the other types of hard alcohol. That's really concerning. I've searched this website. It's called addictioncampuses.com, by the way, if you want to check it out. I've searched and they don't have a page separately devoted to every other type of hard alcohol that I have seen. They continue to spread the misconceptions and using studies by medical professionals to push the myths about hallucinations and the harmful effects of thujone. Again, the myth continues to be perpetuated that absinthe causes hallucinations and the especially high alcohol content makes people sick. One thing I find completely ironic is that the original myth that was perpetuated about absinthe causing hallucinations back in the 19th century is the same reason why people won't drink genuine absinthe today. Hear me out. A friend of mine named Jonathan, who lives in, I believe, Kentucky, if I remember correctly. He told me that he went to a liquor store to shop for wine, and there was absinthe among the shelves. And he asked the owner why the absinthe never gets sold. And the owner told a story that breaks my heart. The owner said, well, people see it when they come in here, but their friend that they come in there with will tell them, put it back, it's not the real stuff, it won't make you hallucinate, and they'll put it back on the shelf to never be sold and to collect dust. That makes me so sad. That absolutely breaks my heart. People are missing out on an amazing, exquisite experience just because they don't think it's real unless it makes them hallucinate, and they don't want to participate in drinking it unless it has that effect. What's wrong with people? Seriously, what is wrong with people? So, I guess as my friend Marcus Lyon of Lion Spirits said, absinthe is boring for boring people. Must be true. On that note, I'd like to announce something else that's pretty exciting. I had a Q&A on my Instagram story a little while back and was asked if I'd consider writing a book about absinthe, to which I responded that one is already in the works. It's true. I am indeed writing my own book about absinthe. It'll be available on Amazon as an ebook when it's ready. And when you subscribe to my mailing list on my upcoming website, you will be offered a free download. So with that, there's the end of my video. I hope you guys were able to get a little more insight on my attitude on absinthe. And I hope this was able to answer for you why I get upset when it gets misrepresented. It's not just that I'm a stuck-up bitch that gets upset when people hate on it because it's my favorite alcohol. It's so much more than that. So much more. So guys, as always, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and make sure to hit the bell for notifications. Be sure to follow me on social media, and thank you so much to my patrons. You guys are amazing, I love you, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.